Hi, it's Michelle with Medicine with the Metals. Today, just one metal. Mark is not here. Sometimes we do that. And today I have Gillian, my very good friend. We've become friends over the past couple of years following this path together. And we're going to talk about her psychedelic story as well as her story of what got her to psychedelics in the first place, because it's very common to my story. So I'm going to introduce you first.
Hi, thanks. I'm so glad to be here. Yeah. And we were actually friends for a while online before I knew that we had this in common. So once I found that out, like, oh, my love and admiration for you is already very big, but I was like, wow, this is it's nice to meet somebody that's so kindred with so much, so many things that have gone on the same. And really, even I talked to someone that I barely know a couple days ago, and he was coming to me about this exact subject. He was like, do you mind if I talk to you about something? And I said, sure, what is it? And he's like, and this is what we're about to talk about. This is the exact thing. And I was like, yeah, this is a common story. A lot of us come to psychedelics through recovery.
So
And in
many.
terms, yeah. And in terms of my story, I had done a lot of psychedelics in the past, in my youth. I was a raver in New York City, so I really thought that I had done all the psychedelics in the world. Like, I really thought I had done all that, and that, that I was done with that, and, etc. I had always like dabbled in drugs, but then as I became an adult, things got a little darker. And I married a man who was a raging alcoholic, and he died. And our daughter had just turned 3, and it really sent me over the edge. And so I had been to rehab before. I had been when I was 20, when I left the rave scene. And I was again when I was 30, when I kind of rediscovered heroin, which takes me down very fast. Like, I'm no match for it. But when my husband died, I was 37 years old, and I really just completely lost my mind. And I just went really, really far down that road, really, really dark, and I lost everything. And I ended up living outside. I met another man, and I lost custody of my daughter. I lost my business, my home, my cars, my land, everything that I had had. And I started this very unhealthy relationship with this man, and we lived outside without my daughter. And then, long story short, we managed to get sober. We came to Memphis, Tennessee, and we joined Alcoholics Anonymous. We had been in it many times before, but
Right.
I really, really, really gave myself to that program. I was so incredibly desperate. I had this daughter now. It wasn't just about me. Like, my daughter's just the love of my life. And my husband, he had also been in the 12-step program forever, and he really went to yoga and psychedelics. We kind of went different ways. Like, I was very, very in the 12-step program, and I did that every day, and he was very into his yoga, and he did that every day. So that was difficult for both of us for different reasons. You know what I mean? But at some point, there was a woman that was in AA, and she had 20-something years. She was kind of at the top of the sponsorship tree of everybody. She was everybody's either sponsor, grant sponsor, great grand sponsor, and she ran all the retreats, and she did all the events, and she told everybody what to do, and she was very, very, very important in this like scene,
Sure.
And she loved that. She like thrived in that, and she was great at it, and she had a lot of energy for a lot of people, and she was very, very good. She was a good therapist. This is why she was this person. She was very good therapist, and she would get right to it, and she just did not care. She could see right through you. She could see. So anyway, she had a psychedelic awakening on her own. Like on her own, she completely just blew out. She broke free. She had her whole death experience, all this stuff, and she did this by herself with her husband, not even with her husband knowing. And another long story short, she
Wow.
left AA, and
What
the
medicine did
entire
she go to? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but was it ayahuasca?
DMT.
DMT. Okay.
She did DMT, and
Mhm.
she I don't know. Uh, she had a calling. I'll put it that way. She had a calling to it. It called to her, and she went to it, and they merged. They merged, and she learned to make it, and she learned to work with it.
Wow.
And she did all this before I even kind of even had a clue that it was happening. But
Right.
this got out into the community that this was happening. It was this enormous, you know, bombshell of gossip news that this had gone on, like rippled all throughout Memphis, Tennessee. Like, oh my God, this woman had done this. And of course, so that meant, so I lost, so she was my grand sponsor. So my sponsor and everybody was just so affected, and it was just this huge deal. And my husband was like, no, 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 you go to this woman. Like something interesting is happening right here. Like go talk to
Mm.
her. And luckily, my husband knows me so well. He's so wise, and he's such a strong medicine man on his own. He had the, I don't know, he gave me the gift of like letting me go on my own
Mhm.
to her
Mhm.
in my own way, and I did. And she, saw me. I was almost 4 years sober, but I was not happy. I was not okay still. I had with a lot of problems, and I had
Mm.
gone through steps 3 times each year. I had gone through them earnestly, diligently, with all my heart, and I had learned so much, and I had basically learned enough to realize there was something else. There's something deeper happening with me, because everyone else, was happy, joyous, and free, and doing all this. I was like, I don't really feel like that, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's not really how I feel. And so this woman, I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't really even understand, but I just like know that I need help, and I'm called to be helped with you, like her
Mhm.
specifically. She reminded me of my mom. She reminded me of me. I don't know. There was all these different things about her where I just trusted her, and I was basically like, my life is in your hands. I don't care. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm that willing, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so I
Right.
started to do this. I did DMT with her, and I have really, really, really strong reactions to that medicine. So I
Mm.
very first time, was 100% sure I had died. I was dead. I had to go through the whole thing of letting go of my husband and my daughter, and then basically realizing that I had not died. Like I had my life on earth. Like,
What a
and
gift.
it started my whole life over. I was like, oh no, like I have a prize, I have a gift. Like
Mhm.
I thought I lost it. Like I thought it was over, and I'm not ready. Like I'm not ready for that. And um but it was the most shocking thing that had ever happened to me. And it was not like unicorns and rainbows at all. Like I've
Yeah.
vomited and screamed and kicked and cried all night, and just like went into this deep period of research too. Like I was just pouring through like sacred texts and ancient books, and like trying to figure out where I had gone and because it was so real. And I was like, oh my God, I saw something and I had no idea existed. And I have a degree in art history. I had been looking at pictures of heaven and God and like godly things my whole life, and that is not what I saw. I did
Yeah.
not see, like, I saw something totally, totally else, but it was realer than anything that had
Can
ever
you tell
happened.
us what you saw?
Um, so I saw basically like a cosmic circus, and it
Mhm.
freaked
Mm.
me out. It
Yeah, that's
really
a good
freaked me out.
description.
I
Mhm.
was shocked to death almost,
Yeah.
I saw a crystal city. I saw an enormous, vast crystal city that was some version of the Akash. I saw me, um, like throughout time without a body, like the energetic version of me. Um, and it was shown through like a cartoon land. And I was not
Mm.
prepared for that because I was like, no, it should be all like beautiful, like flowers and like heavenly and whatever. No, no, no. It was not that. It
Colors.
was these bright, shocking colors, and it was very, very intense, and it was so fast, and it was just more than I had a clue what to do with, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but that started everything. It started everything. And so I was like, okay, wow, like this is what I'm supposed to do. I had this deep, deep knowing this is what I was supposed to do, but I also was so incredibly terrified. It terrified me what happened. But yet I had this like drive to do more of it. So that was tough because like at first I couldn't even get myself to do it. I was so scared. I'd just be like shaking and I can't do it. And I had to work up my courage. And so this is where mushrooms came in because
Hmm.
I was still on a ton of medicine. I was on 450 milligrams of Wellbutrin and
Wow.
2,400 milligrams of gabapentin a day. And I could not feel anything. Like
Mm.
I couldn't feel sex with my husband. I couldn't
Mhm.
like my emotions were not normal. I didn't sleep without like sound or TV or like something to distract me. I really didn't like being alone in my own silence.
Mm.
And so one thing the DMT did was it wiped that noise. Like I had all this noise and static and like just shit going on in my head, and it wiped it. And I suddenly had like this total peace and quiet up here. Like I could hear like myself in this totally beautiful, clear way without all this. Like, I really think that I was hearing voices and stuff. Like, I just was hearing all this static, and I'd try to go to sleep, and my head would be noisy. And it
Mm.
was like a lot of people self medicate with benzos and
Sure.
narcotics and stuff because of this like dis-ease that you feel,
Yeah. Sure.
Um, so of course, because of the DMT, I heard about the ayahuasca. I heard
Hmm.
about it. And of course, she was calling to me, and my heart was trying to go to her, but I was on all this medication. And so I'm
Yep.
talking to and at this point, she's my medicine woman, 100%. She ceases to be anything from AA or anything else. She is like my medicine woman, and
Yeah.
she works
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
me so closely, so strongly. Like she just gave me everything, and she never charged me any money, and she just she demanded devotion and attention from me. She 100%, she was not going to do this with me without my complete devotion to the process, but I was willing to do that. And so she was like, we can get you off this medication. I was like, how? And she's like, you get on the computer, like go look up your little stuff. Like you can use
Mhm.
psilocybin to get off this medication. And I was like,
Mhm.
what? Shrooms. I've taken a lot of shrooms. She
Yeah.
was like, stop thinking you know everything. Like, we're going to start over. We're going to begin again. And we're going to do this a different way because you're a different person now. And this is a different world. And you're creating a different world. So, and that
I
began a
love
very
this woman.
divine process, yes, where she was gifted everything in the world to grow mushrooms. She was just gifted everything. It was like God was
Mm.
like, oh, you need to help this person? Let me just find a person to give you everything you need. So like
Hmm.
not even sterilely, it was such a divine process. She started growing mushrooms for me, and they started just coming like you would not believe. There's mushrooms, mushrooms, mushrooms everywhere. And so I was like, I didn't really believe that this would work because I had 20 years of being on antidepressants and even longer being on and off addicted to drugs.
Mm.
Um, but I had, but I believed her. I believed in her, basically. I was like,
Sure.
don't really think this is going to work, but like, I'll do what you say, kind of like AA says, do
Mm-hmm.
you have something I don't, and
Yep.
I'm going to do
Yep.
what you do. So I just started, and not thinking it would work. I'd be like, I'm going to do this and it's not going to work for me because like I'm totally fucking crazy. Like I'm just going to have to stay on this forever. Because I've been also to like my regular doctor and therapists, other people, and I was like, I don't want to be like, they're like, you're old, you're getting older. Like this is just part of life, I'm like, really? I don't feel good. I don't have any like drive to do stuff. I don't want to go climb a mountain. I don't want to do anything. That's not
Getting
normal.
older. You were 37?
No, at this point I was like, well, yeah, 40 something. Yeah. 40, what,
Still,
41? I
you're
don't know,
getting
40.
older.
Yeah, yeah. But that was the answer that my doctor gave me.
Right.
Basically, I was like, I'm
Right.
gaining weight. I don't feel anything. Like, they're like, yeah, you don't. So, so I started taking the mushrooms, and it was super funny. She like got a calendar, one of those free calendars from the bank drive-through, and she was like, honey, we're making a schedule, and so we started making a schedule, and she's like, because we got to get you to these high dose ceremonies, because like this is where this healing is for you.
The deep
And so
healing.
she started to do that, and she started forming a group. She started making all these beautiful practices. She was going to Hummingbird Heart Sacred Medicine Church with Terry Griffin, down outside of Atlanta. And she was learning so much about ayahuasca's retreat, ayahuasca ceremony, and the whole process, but she was bringing it home to mushroom ceremony.
Mm.
And we had a small group, but this group started to become bigger. My husband came eventually. And my other friend and, her husband, we had a group of basically 3 couples and a couple other people. And we started to really, really closely work together, and we had high dose ceremonies every month. And this was right around when COVID started.
Okay.
So we had time, to do this. We had time to like
Yeah.
really explore and spend time outside and plan ceremony. And it was just a beautiful time. It was a beautiful, beautiful time of my life.
COVID was a incredible time for all of us who were either beginning the plant medicine path, which I had just gone to my first ceremony right before COVID started, or who people who are on the plant medicine path, because y- you have time. You have
You
time
were
to
kidding.
integrate. You have time to talk, to think, to read, to pray, to meditate, all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
integrate. So she had me come to her house, and
Mhm.
sometimes more than this, but at least every Tuesday I went to her house from 9 to 12 for 2
Oh,
years,
nice.
just to talk about what was
Mhm.
happening. And we did medicine other times and ceremony other times, but this Tuesday morning, this was just to talk about what was happening to me. And she just did all the same stuff that she did in AA, basically. And surprisingly, my husband, who didn't want to do the program back, that he on his own did a 4th and 5th step with her during plant medicine, because he was like, I'm ready to do this now. Like, let's do this. Like, and they
Yeah,
did that
yeah.
together. It's because he wanted to like clear things up for him so that our relationship could, move forward with more clarity and everything. So
Right.
he actually did the step work, during plant medicine, outside of the meetings, which I thought was just so beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
and a beautiful like testament to the spiritual principles of the program. Um, so I did try for a moment, to stay in the program. Um, and I was shunned, I was
Hmm.
pretty hardcore shunned, and I
Yep.
was pretty much kicked out. And I pretty much lost all my friends all at once. Um, and that was fine.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fine, because I was realizing like that I had attached to a lot of shit that had nothing to do with me. And
Mm.
that I really was excited to learn to live for myself, and like to think for myself, and to have my own ideas and my own plan, and And also, all this prayer that I had cultivated like baby steps with in AA exploded with psychedelics. My prayer, my meditation
Totally.
exploded, and I was like, oh, this is what it's about. Like, this is what I'm looking for. So like all these meditation nights I did at AA and stuff, yeah, that is what I was looking for. But like I was looking for something more, like that and more. And
Yeah.
I found it,
Yeah.
and I felt
I
like I had
I get
waited my
it.
whole life when I found um when I found when I found psychedelic ceremony, I felt like I found what I had been waiting for my whole life. You know?
I do. I
Um,
do know. Not I mean, it's beautiful to see you cry because it's that emotional and it's that intense, and not everybody can break free of that. The confines of those rooms, and not everybody wants to break free because you don't know until you know, right? I felt the same way when I was in AA. I had been in there for a number of years, and I just I loved it. I loved it. The first 10, 15 years, I loved it, and it was a huge part of my life. I raised my children in AA. Um, all of my friends were AA. Any socializing I did was AA activities, or whatever it was. I mean, that was everything. And I remember hearing in a meeting one time, this lady was talking about going to the jungle and drinking this psychedelic tea, and then you wouldn't be an alcoholic or an addict anymore. And that was the story she was telling. And even I was like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that is crazy. But then the time came when it was like, I think there has to be more than this. It's I used to describe it as like standing very close to a picture of like a picture of a sun. And if you're very close to it, all you're seeing is yellow, and then the further you get back and the further you get back, oh, 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 oh.
mhm, mhm,
That to me was what happened with the psychedelics and with my idea of Alcoholics Anonymous, and how much larger it grew than the confines of those rooms.
mhm. Well, an interesting thing about the relationships I had in Alcoholics Anonymous was that when I started to do this mushroom medicine and start being able, so let's see, getting back to COVID, um,
Yeah, yeah.
went out of town. My family went out of town for a while, and and then we stayed gone longer than we expected. And I got back into town, and my medicine woman was like, how'd you do? Like with the medication? And I was almost had forgotten, you know?
Hmm.
And I pulled out my little pill bottle, and I had taken 15 pills instead of 90. And we just
Wow.
laughed. We just laughed because I was like, oh my God, it did work. Like, it worked without
Wow.
me noticing, because I was busy. I
Mm,
was traveling. I was like bopping around during COVID. Like, we went to Colorado and we were having a great
sure.
time. And I didn't have my calendar or my schedule, my microdose schedule, but I had done high dose ceremonies. I'd done 4 maybe at this point. Maybe more. I don't know, but it was
Yeah.
enough. It was enough that I didn't need it anymore, and I didn't even
Yeah.
think about it. And so I realized, I was like, this. I have done my whole life, been on different medications, all kinds of medications, coming on and off medications, doing this, and this was so easy. Like, I didn't even hardly notice it working, and now it worked. And I've never taken a pill since then. Not ever.
Wow.
Not for anything. I've hardly been sick since. Like, I've hardly needed to take anything of any kind since then. Um,
Absolutely amazing. And when is the last time you went? And then talk about your departure from your group.
Um, my departure from my group?
Yeah, from AA.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, well, the my sponsor was this her name was Jennifer. Jennifer's um one of her like main sponsees was my sponsor. Her name
Okay.
was Mary. Her name was Mary. And I had she was such a big deal to me, like my sponsor was such a big deal to me. I had to get her approval for everything. I had to check with her for everything. I just had this whole like ideology built up around like checking with some other person
Yep.
for my well-being, you know. Um,
I do.
and and so it was actually my daughter's birthday. And so she was spending the night at grandma's for her birthday. And there was this big like birthday meeting at the AA meeting place. And
Yep.
I was like, I'm gonna go do DMT. Like, and I told her, I was like, I'm gonna go do this with your old sponsor. Sorry, and it just was an enormous deal. Like, and it started this kind of chain reaction of people in my perception, especially like looking back on it, people being worried about the wrong things, right? So
Yeah.
let's like back to the medication. I'm on all this medication. All my friends kind of like know I'm on all this medication. I have to be on it. If I don't have it, I get weird. It's this huge deal if I don't pick it up on time, like my daughter knows this is so, and I'm taking these mushrooms and I'm getting off all this medication and people are like, oh no, you're off your meds. I'm like, you guys want me to stay on this.
They do.
Why? Like, this is something so good that's happening to me and you're acting like something bad is happening to me. Like, this is weird. So that was really the very end of my connection with that, with the group, because I was like, we're just on different paths now, you know? And so a lot of those people that did think, I mean, I had people call my house at like 7:30 in the morning being like, I've heard you're off your meds.
Oh my God.
Because it was like a rumor, it was like this big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I thank God I got off the meds, but, so I find, so, I get clean, I get my body in order, and I finally can get to the ayahuasca. But it was like a year-long process, I guess,
Yep.
to do that,
Yeah.
to get myself in shape that I could do that. Um, and I mean, she just set up camp in my heart and she never left,
Hmm.
just
I do.
gave me this
I
whole other
really do.
layer of healing and like love that, um, you know, sh- love that she gave me was love that I was able to give to the world after that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that,
Well, you radiate it.
and that made me a truly happy woman, like the love that it goes back and forth, but that's never stopped. Like since that, I've never lost that feeling. I've never
Yeah.
had a moment where I didn't feel that.
Good.
I was just
You
gifted that.
know, I think that AA and I loved AA, like I said before. I mean, I went there to I wasn't one of those white knucklers. I really wasn't at the bottom yet. I had all my not yets. I used to talk about my not yets. They were coming for sure, but I stopped drinking before that. Um, and I went there to learn how to live my life differently, and I did that. I did learn how to live my life differently. I got so much out of those 12 steps, and I worked them many, many, many times. I was a sponsor. I was the GSR for my group. I was of service. I did all the things. And I loved all those things and that they prepared me for now. I mean, I think a lot of the work that we talk about in psychedelics is 12-step work. I mean, it's the same thing. I used to say all the time if everybody would go would do the 12 steps, not be an AA, but do the 12 steps, wow, would this world be
Yeah.
different?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of incredible things and so I don't ever bash AA at all, but I think there can be some dangers for sure. And I think that there
Right.
can be, they attach this, and I do say they because it is all of AA. I mean, it's in their bylaws. This stigma of and it's across the whole world. So it's not just AA, but that ayahuasca or psilocybin or one of these medicines is a mind altering substance, so you can't take it. Yet
Mhm.
it's okay. They're drugs, yet it's okay to be on 7 different prescriptions because 'cause they're from your doctor. It's okay to stand up and say every day of your life that you have a disease and that you're
Right.
less than, because that is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
full to par. I have a disease. All
Yeah.
these things started like occurring to me, and I was like, there's got to
Mm-hmm.
be more than this.
Well, that kind of leads us full circle, what you just said, because so the ayahuasca told me I needed this frog
Hmm.
medicine, and I didn't, I didn't know that that was even a real thing, because nobody talks about Kambo in Memphis, Tennessee, not at all.
Yeah.
And so, but I found out about Kambo, and I was driven to it. I was drawn to it, and that took a long time as well. But so I think it was the first time. Yeah, it was the first time that I did Kambo. Um, I started to I started to make a noise. I started to make a yelling noise from my throat, from my chest, that I had never made before. And I could feel something moving in me, like something energetically moving in me. And I felt this feeling of just like fear and dread, like this terrible, terrible feeling to come over me. And I realized that this was the fear that I would always be fucked up, that I would always
Hmm.
be a drug addict, that I would always have to be afraid of myself. Right. And
Yeah.
I just, one part of my brain was like, what are you doing? Because I'm just making this crazy noise and I can't stop. And I'm like peeing and like I did all of it. But um, basically, I lodged it right out my throat and it left. And I felt this fear leave me. And
Wow.
I just wept and wept and wept, because I was like, wow, I'm carrying that, like, that wasn't mine to carry. I'm not gonna always be messed up. Like, I'm okay. I'm free. I have been freed. I am recovered. Do not have to be afraid of myself. I am my own best friend, you know?
I
So,
do. I
yeah.
do.
And I
Total
didn't even know
recovery
that I
is
was carrying
possible.
that around. I didn't even realize that. Like, I'd done all
Mhm.
this medicine. I'd done DMT, changa, mushrooms, ayahuasca, all of this stuff, and I was still carrying around this fear that I was not okay. And I feel like AA told me that,
It did.
and I'm
It
not stop
did.
talking bad about that program, but I learned that there. Like, and I was told that, and it made me afraid, because I want to be free. I want to be okay. But if I have to be afraid of myself, that's really scary. That's a scary thing
I
to carry around
agree.
as a human woman. Like,
Mhm.
you know, so I felt lighter and better and more wonderful. And I started to work with Kambo more, and it started to free me from other things. I had a lot of
Kambo is the
anger.
best.
I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of loneliness. I had sadness about my mother dying, my first husband dying, things left over that were just like percolating in my energetic body that I didn't really even know that I was carrying around. But, Kambo is an amazing medicine that, it's one of the strongest tools Mother Nature has to offer, and it does things that you just can't do on your own, and you don't even know you need to do them until you do them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
Kambo is incredible, and it cleans you in every way possible. I think that when I left, I had moved, so that did make it a little bit easier, like distance-wise. I had moved away from the town that I got sober in, my home group was in, that I'd been in AA for many, many years. And I moved, so it made it a little bit easier, but I remember still just being nervous and, "Oh my god, they're gonna find out about this," but then the other part of me was like, "No, it doesn't matter," but it took a couple of years. There's no doubt about it,
for sure.
for that to go away, and
Mhm.
it did. It took a long time for it to go away, and I used to think they're gonna think I'm crazy, and
Yeah.
she's doing this ayahuasca,
Yeah, and people will
and
say
then she
behind your
started
back
selling
she's doing
mushrooms.
drugs, and you're like, I got to the point though, because I did have that conversation with my medicine woman. I was like, they said I'm doing drugs. She's like, so what? Sure.
Right,
Sure.
right,
I was like,
and
oh, look at me
who
carrying around this
cares?
huge weight over this word,
I
right?
know,
This
I
is a
know.
word. Like, so what? So now anybody can say that to me. Oh, you did. Sure.
Me
whatever.
too. Me too. Because now, they, not that it even matters, but they have watched me walk and this path for the last 7 years and have watched that, when we first started Mama Dose, I was like, yeah, she started selling mushrooms. um, and here's what I said. I mean, I made a post about this not that long ago. You know, I was told for so long that if I stopped going to meetings, I was going to be drunk, I was going to be using drugs, I was going to be lose my home, lose my children, like lose everything. I didn't go to an AA meeting, I was going to be fucked. I hadn't had a drink in so many years and I still was like, could that really be true? You know what I mean? Here's what I say. It's been 7 years. Well, it's been longer than that since I've been to an AA meeting, but it's been 7 years since I did this. Probably been 10 years since I've been to an AA meeting. I am still sober. I still have not had a drink. I still do
Mhm.
not use drugs. I am as present in my life as I literally have ever been. And that's all because of psychedelics.
Yeah.
And the other work too, and the other medicines, and Kambo, and Hape, and meditation, and breath work, and
Right.
all the things.
But that's the
But at the end of the
integration.
day,
That's it.
it's
Yeah.
it's the psychedelics that phew, whooshed it all up, and I was able to, with integration, come back together. And now I never wanted to be an old timer who still went to that AA meeting down into that basement every day of my life for 40 years. What
Right.
about recovering and living your life?
And also, it's okay to think for yourself. Being in a room where everyone's like, no, no, you got to check with somebody else. Make sure your thought is okay. No, like I check with God. I have my own connection there, checking with, I mean, bless her heart. I love my sponsor. We're still, this woman, we're still good friends to this day. She's one of my sisters. And she
Yeah.
ended up coming into the psychedelic medicine
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
eventually, because it
Yeah.
just is what it is. And if you get exposed to it enough and you're a deep enough person, you're going
And
to get
people see,
interested.
right? They see, oh, there's a difference there. Oh, this is, they see, and that's how they get interested in it. We have, I think, 7 members of that group who are microdosing with Mama Dose, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. I used to always say, like, it's not fun to go and do this. It's not like it's fun to take ayahuasca. There's nothing
Right.
fun about
Oh,
it.
that's
And
what I
the
said. I was
amount
like,
of
y'all have no
time,
idea how hard what I'm doing is.
well, and the amount of time that you're actually under the influence of the psychedelic is so minimal compared to I used
the
to laugh and say,
months,
"What do they
the
think I'm walking
months,
around taking hallucinogenics and seeing,
or,
unicorns all every day?"
or the months it takes
No,
to think
it's such a
about what
small
happened
amount of
during
time.
those 4 hours. Like, that's what happened to me. I mean, I just never stopped thinking about it ever again. I mean, I don't think I'll ever finish integrating that first DMT thing that happened to me. There are other ones, like it takes, you can't just start your life over in a month. Like
Mm.
this is deep, it's deep work and it does affect every single layer of your life, your work and your relationships, your love relations, your friendships, like every
Yep,
single aspect of my life changed. And I mean,
yep.
that took a lot of years and but I mean, now that all that has happened and that I feel like there's a messy period of change when anything starts to, massive change happens. But, um, I spent like the first 40 years of my life just not being a very happy person for real,
Me too.
like I'm going to be 50 this week and like I am truly a happy person.
Mm.
I
I
know
know. What?
it's fine.
That's
Everything.
amazing.
Yeah. And like I, I'm so glad that I had this chance to restart my life and these tools that were strong enough for me because I know that, maybe psychedelics are not for everybody, but it was what I needed. I don't think I ever could have found a way otherwise. I really had tried a lot of things. My mother
Yeah.
was a spiritual woman too. Like I came from amazing background. I had every chance in the world. But I just like and, on this topic, after, when I was first having these really shocking, life-changing psychedelic experiences, I did try to talk to some of my close friends from AA because I wanted this connection with other women. I wanted but it was totally in vain. Like I needed a shaman, I needed like shamanic help, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
needed, you know, like a very long, deep period of integration that had nothing to do with these people. And I really made myself look pretty crazy. I know that. Like I look back and think, how could I didn't even know what was happening to me. How could they possibly be like, oh, let me offer some kind of supportive container for you right now? Like that's not possible.
Of
And so
course.
this is really even like how I found you, because I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. Nobody wants to do this kind of work here. They think Kambo is dangerous and terrible.
Yep.
I can't even
Yes,
find a
yes.
place in town that
What do
is
you
willing.
mean you're taking your poison frog into your body?
Yeah, I've
People
literally
think
been
it's
interviewed.
nuts.
I've been interviewed for Memphis Health and Wellness magazine about Kambo, and then they like saw a Reddit post about something and was like, "This is dangerous and controversial. We can't talk about this. It's not aligned with our mission of health, vitality, and wellness."
Yeah.
That's what they said to
Well, I
me
think
about
that
Kambo.
I want to mention too here that while I say total recovery is possible, and you can, just like you're living your life. You're not drinking, and you're not going to AA meetings either. You're living your life in recovery. Life is recovery. Life
And
is
I've
life
helped
is
many addicted people with Kambo from AA that couldn't even talk about it. They could not talk about that they were coming to my house to work with
Of
me
course not.
at those meetings, but it
Of
worked.
course not.
Yeah. I mean, especially one
Yeah.
of them who's like his life completely turned around.
I really do believe that even though we say that, the total recovery is possible, I can easily go back to becoming an alcoholic, right? If I don't keep up with the things that I'm doing now, which are really similar to the work I was doing in AA, it's just like times 1,000.
Right.
Um, if I don't continue to do that work, then I could very well fall back into addiction again. So I just want to make that really clear to people. Like, I'm not saying that once you recover, you're just recovered always, and it's just a free key and a free pass. It's not the way it works.
It still shows up in sneaky ways, right? It's not like,
Yep.
you can, I'll be like, oh, and suddenly like I have to eat dark chocolate every single night. Like I have to, like, it'll show up in
I
its
might
little
do that.
ways. You can notice it and be like, I see you. Get a
Yeah.
hold of that.
Yeah.
Now we have
Yep.
tools and now more awareness, and denial doesn't feel good anymore,
Yeah.
you know.
No, denial does not feel good anymore. And you can't hide from the truth. I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you can try to dodge, right?
Mm.
But you just can't. I mean, it's there. Once you
Mm-hmm.
have met the divine in such a way that many of us have now, it's impossible not to see it, and not to, even when you are doing things that in your heart is not the best thing for you. You're not being your highest self. Um you're aware of it.
Right.
You're aware of it. I'm aware of it. I'll just speak for myself. I'm
Yeah.
aware of it.
Mm-hmm. It's easier to
Mhm.
give yourself grace now too. I don't beat myself up like
Mm,
before. I was so hard on myself for so long. I don't do
yeah,
that. I don't do that.
yeah.
I'm not myself now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the
More.
last thing I want to talk about, and I want to definitely have you back, because we want to talk about the things that you do in this space as well, because that's really important. But I think this was an important conversation, because so many people are coming to all the things that we're doing in this world, you and I, in the same position, and they're afraid, or maybe they have answers. There also is recovery, psychedelics in recovery, and there
Yeah.
are 12-step groups that are psychedelics in recovery for the
Yeah.
same reason. They're still very much into the program and the 12 steps, but
Mm-hmm.
are not accepted in their home groups, any
Yeah.
groups.
And actually all of my work that I do now, no matter whether, I do um books on microdosing and mushrooms and psychedelic integration, I talk about addiction and recovery in all of them. Like it's all kind of based on my experience. So I think it's important. I think it's important to always mention, you know, um, I don't want them to be separate worlds, addiction and recovery, like and
Mm-mm.
psychedelics. I think that there is very little hope for some people without a massive psychic change. And that is not possible
Totally.
without some sort of potent, powerful catalyst. What is that going to be for you? Can you find it? Right? Can you find it without a plant? Can you find it without an animal spirit? You know, these are
I
gifts
couldn't.
that God gave us. Get nature, tools from nature. These are the original medicines. These are not an alternative medicine. It's all, we have it all backwards.
It
When,
makes me laugh when people say that.
yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
people want me to, I just made a post about this yesterday. People want me to convince them what I'm doing is safe. No, go do your own research. The truth is the
Yep.
truth. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. The science is
Yeah.
there. The facts are there. All the data is there, but
Yep.
the indoctrination is strong, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, it's very, very strong. I think
Yeah.
which is so funny because in all of my years in going to meetings and many years, I mean, almost, over 20 years, um, I wasn't in meetings that whole time. So let me clarify that. But for the first 15, I really was.
Mhm.
And I mean, daily, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
twice a day.
Yeah.
But, um, in all that time and all the things I learned and all the history of Alcoholics Anonymous and all of it, reading the big book, especially the first 164 pages a bajillion times. I mean, my book is like earmarked everywhere. I have notes everywhere. It's just like I
Yeah.
have signatures from all the people I went to treatment with. And like, it's just, it was really cool. But in all that time and all the reading I did, I never heard about the real story of Bill Wilson's spiritual awakening, which I've
Yeah,
talked about
they
on
know
this
the talk. They
podcast
don't talk
before.
about that.
You don't ever talk about that.
Don't talk
But
about it.
he from a psychedelic experience is how he had his spiritual awakening. And let me, if I remember this correctly, his doctor had studied under Carl Jung.
Mhm.
And that's how he got the idea to do it. And then Bill Wilson was one of the people that he had done it on and had, here he had this psychedelic experience. He was in the hospital. That would be weird. But and from that, he had a spiritual awakening. And from that spiritual awakening, he came up with the 12 steps.
Mhm.
So I had felt like I'd had a spiritual awakening when I was in AA. I did.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Yeah, yeah,
had
me
one.
too. Yeah,
There's no doubt about it, but it
sure.
was like this big compared to
Right,
the one I had
right,
now.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's huge. So it's an interesting story and it's really funny that they don't ever mention this
Mhm.
anywhere. Mhm.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me today. I would definitely love to have you back and let's talk about all your beautiful things. You make the most beautiful bath potions, and I don't have a bathtub anymore. I would order one, but you do a lot of amazing things with the Kambo, with everything. So I hope you'll come back and we'll talk about
I
that.
would love to. I'd love to. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're so welcome, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.